Well, let's just get right to it. This was a video that no one ever wanted to have to watch or a thing we never wanted to have to talk about. But Jacob deGrom is undergoing Tommy John surgery to repair a tear in his elbow ligament. Absolutely horrible news. Not only for the Rangers, but obviously for him. You know, he's had a couple setbacks this year, and he was very emotional about the situation. So if we go into the quotes here from Chris Young, he said, "We have gone backwards. The MRI revealed that the damage was significant. I'm glad we have clarity. Everyone being in the dark was not good. We now have a course of action, and we will attack it." So that's pretty much where we're at. And also, this original tweet by Evan Grant has blown up. It got like 2 million views. So that's pretty crazy in itself. And then the quote from deGrom himself: "This stinks. It's not ideal, but at least we know what it is now. I want to get it fixed, and we'll set a goal to be back before the end of next year." He's going to get the surgery next week. This comes 24 hours after he was moved to the 60-day IL, and they were still feeling pretty good about him, but they had to move him to the 60-day because of the fact that they sent down Jonathan Hernandez. They just needed some roster space, so it was a corresponding move was all. But yeah, this quote is also troubling because the end of next year in terms of the baseball season would be about 18 months. So that is not ideal. I would be surprised if it took that long because he has had Tommy John surgery once. It was in 2010, and we'll get into that a little bit in a little bit here. The last thing I did want to mention was Ken Rosenthal posted an article from The Athletic, and it discussed how the Rangers do not have insurance on this contract, which at first I was like, there's no way. That makes no sense. Why would you not have insurance on this? Because you know he's going to get injured. One of the biggest reasons is because no company would take on that deal, and it has nothing to do with deGrom specifically. It's more of that's $200 million. The premiums would be through the roof. So no company was going to take that deal, and the Rangers certainly were not going to pay that much. They just assumed the full risk of the contract. The interesting part was not only that they didn't have the insurance, but that this, if you remember, they added a Tommy John clause basically to his contract. That if he had to undergo any surgery to his elbow or specifically Tommy John, that would keep him on the list for 130 consecutive days. Then he gets another year, which makes it a 6-year deal, and pushes his contract to $222 million. This last sentence summarizes it pretty well. They likely saw the benefits to outweigh the negatives, and in this case, sadly, the negatives did happen. So there's no way to sugarcoat it, but I do want people to realize that this is not the end of deGrom, hopefully, and it's certainly not going to have an impact on the Rangers' season. He pitched 6 games. Tonight, the day I'm posting this video, is game number 60, meaning he would have pitched in 10% of the games so far, and the Rangers are 39-20, leading the AL West by 3.5 games and just a few games behind the Tampa Bay Rays for the best record in baseball. So it sucks. It sucks for him. I feel horrible for deGrom because he's had this past few years of like big injuries, going on the IL a bunch of times. And this was just a complete blow that is setting him back at least 12 months. You know, I don't foresee anything faster than that. You have the extraordinary cases of Bryce Harper coming back in 5 months, but that's because he didn't have to throw. That throwing motion is what gets it, so just sucks to see. And for some additional context to this whole thing, for people saying, like, I knew this was going to happen, they should have never signed him, blah, blah, blah. I believe, and that people brought up this point as well, I believe that they do not get Andrew Heaney or Nathan Eovaldi or even Will Smith or really most of the people they signed after deGrom if they did not sign him, because it was a message to the league and to the players and the free agents that the Rangers are serious about trying to win. They want to put a winning product on the field. They already initiated those statements by signing Corey Seager and Marcus Semien, who are both having MVP caliber seasons right now, despite Seager missing a month. So that's one thing. And the second thing is, I believe this will heavily, heavily impact the trade deadline. I don't know if they're going to get a starting pitcher, if that's like a, Marcus Stroman is the only one I could really think of who's on not a great team, and they'd probably be willing to trade someone at the deadline, or, someone from the White Sox like Joe Kelly out of the bullpen, even as crazy as Alexis Diaz on Cincinnati, who is Edwin Diaz's brother, I believe. And he's having a crazy season, so it can make things a little more intense now, I think, because deGrom's contract, since they didn't have the insurance on it, they owe him $30 million this year and $40 million next year. And the main way to go about it is either keep spending or try and trade and kind of compensate for having that dead money effectively. So I also really want them to try to get Ohtani. So does everyone else in the world of MLB on their team. But that would just be the ultimate, boom, here we are statement. So getting a little off topic. But my point is the team should still be fine. They've proven that they're incredibly resilient and that they have performed well without Jacob deGrom, which has been the biggest surprise to me. So I would not be surprised if they continue to do well without him. You obviously never want to see one of your star players, especially the ace, go down. But Eovaldi has stepped up. John Gray has stepped up. Dane Dunning has stepped up. Some of the bullpen guys are getting better. They got Grant Anderson now. So not all hope is lost, is my point. Nobody panic. It sucks, but don't panic. They've been doing it all season. They got Bruce Bochy at the helm. We're about a third of the way through, and things are looking good. So I think trade deadline and the first week after the All-Star break will be big tests of, can this team actually go the distance? So you can feel free to let loose in the comments, I guess. I mean, it's going to happen. I'm sure there'll be some Mets fans gloating about him getting injured, and I'm sure there's going to be all kinds of jokes, but just let it out in the comments, I guess. And I'm excited to see how the team reacts, knowing that they're not going to get him back this season. And I say excited as in the performance on the field. They're not. None of them are happy, obviously. So the season goes on, and we will see how that goes. So appreciate y'all. Thanks for watching, and talk to y'all next time, hopefully with a little bit better news.